Thank you for the opportunity to comment. My name is Bob Zimmerman. I'm the former executive director of the Charles River Watershed Association. I'm quite concerned with the department's proposed taking between filling and bridging of over 3 acres of the Charles River. The Charles is urban Boston's front yard. It is the living DNA of the city, offering resources, habitat, wildlife, recreation, stunning majesty, and the kind of equanimity and calm that only nature brings. The Charles has only been returned to us from its sordid, heavily polluted past for 25 years. Its recovery started in 1994, and that surge beginning in 1994 mirrors the surge in the city's fortunes. I think that both are intimately connected. There are additionally other significant issues the department has evidently not considered. Foremost among them is flooding. In planning for the vagaries of climate change, the department looked at models of the consequences of sea level rise and storm surge over the coming decades. The far more likely source of flooding for the remainder of this century, however, is precipitation. The I-90 project traverses a whole series of what were once tributaries to the Charles in Allston and Boston, now either in culverts or simply bulldozed into oblivion. The existing stormwater conveyance and CSO pipe system in Boston is entirely inadequate to handle precipitation greater than 2 inches in a day. Precipitation-based flooding, therefore, has no way to flow out of town, currently has no anticipatory storage areas, and NOAA National Weather Service predictions have us getting 12 inches in 3 hours, 20 inches in a day, 36 inches in 2 days. Boston could prepare. In the area of the I-90 currently slated for river filling and bridging lies a former tributary to the Charles River Watershed Association proposed restoring during this project. I had once hoped, as Boston embraced the Standells' 1966 song, Dirty Water, as an anthem of its rejuvenation, that we had turned the page on civil engineering shortcuts that exploit nature and the Charles. If any city in the world should understand the value of the restoration of the rivers and of its rivers and harbors and their vast economic and social welfare benefits, it should be Boston. There is a way out of this box. This proposal, however, to unnecessarily steal 3 acres from the Charles as an engineering expedient is not it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Heather Miller.
Good morning. My name is Heather Miller, and I'm the General Counsel and Policy Director at the Charles River Watershed Association. I echo the comments that Bob Zimmerman just gave and would add the following. Our organization, along with many others in this room, has been involved in this project for years as a member of the project task force. When the preferred design was selected a year ago, we applauded it as an opportunity for stormwater management, improvements, enhanced climate resilience, and riverbank restoration. However, several months later, we learned for the first time that MassDOT planned to temporarily relocate Soldiers Field Road into the Charles River during construction, which is expected to last 8 to 10 years. We've also learned that a portion of I-90 would be located on fill and sheet pilings along the riverbank. None of this was disclosed when the preferred project design was announced. And MassDOT has failed to consider alternatives to putting the road in the river, even though it would drastically increase the project's overall environmental impact. In the last several decades, we've spent hundreds of millions of dollars to clean up the Charles, which has transformed life in Greater Boston. The idea that we would go back to the old mindset of treating the river like an expendable resource is not acceptable. From disturbing contaminated sediment in the riverbed, to fuel and oil spills from construction vehicles, to stormwater pollution from runoff from the bridge, this construction plan would have a lasting impact on the river. MassDOT has also failed to look at the climate change implications. Stormwater flooding during heavy rain is already an issue in this area, and that will only become more so in the future. We haven't seen any plans to deal with this either during construction or in the final project design, and any narrowing of the river in this section would only exacerbate these issues. As with many aspects of this project, MassDOT seems to be planning for the past rather than the future. We should be restoring the natural riverbank for flood retention to protect the Allston neighborhood, not building a temporary roadway in the river to accommodate cars and their emissions. MassDOT should prioritize forward-looking infrastructure like West Station and regional rail. Otherwise, MassDOT risks building a billion-dollar project that is already obsolete. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Secretary, members of the boards. My name is Tom Powers. I am a member of the Charles River Watershed Association, and I'm here to speak about the fill in the river. In 1986, I was Deputy Commissioner at the Department of Environmental Protection and in charge of overseeing all environmental permitting for the Central Artery Big Dig Third Harbor Tunnel project. That was, as you may imagine, an enormous amount of permitting, and I spent a lot more time on your side of this podium than I did on this side listening to public comment. One of the most controversial aspects of that project was how to cross the Charles River. And there were many examples, many tries at it, and the staff kept saying, this is the best we can do. They went through 26 versions. Environmentalists and citizens kept saying, not good enough, keep trying. I'm struck pretty much by the same feeling now, and I did want to say at the beginning, I want to endorse the comments of Charles River Watershed and Conservation Law Foundation, and won't repeat all those. But it does strike me that this is a very important project, but you need to have your staffs keep trying. We have confidence, and I know it's a hard ask, but it's really a big deal. It's hard to see how 10 years is temporary as an impact on the river itself. It's also hard for me, having seen government at work for a long time, to think that it will really be removed at the end of 10 years. Somebody will say, let's do some mitigation. This is too hard to take out. The only way to assure against those adverse effects is to not put the fill in there in the first place. So while the project is extremely important and we recognize that, I would urge you to encourage your staffs, keep trying, find a creative way, like the beautiful Lenny Zakem Bridge that solved the crossing the Charles River on scheme for the Central Artery project. Do the same kind of success here. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.